They told you that being alone is failure, that without a partner, without a constant someone, you are half a person. But here's the truth no one prepared you for. Choosing solitude with intention isn't loss, it's power. It's not emptiness, it's clarity. It's not weakness, it's the ground where you finally stand tall. In this video, we'll go through 14 parts, each one a step deeper into why living alone can beat any relationship you've ever known. From peace you didn't think you deserved, to strength you never imagined was already yours. And listen closely, because somewhere in the middle, I'll share something most people overlook. Something so simple yet so meaningful that it can change the way you see your own life. Stay with me. By the end, you won't just understand solitude, you'll celebrate it. 1. Alone is full, not empty. They warned you that if you live alone, you will be lonely. They said solitude is a shadow, an empty chair at the table, a bed too wide. But look closer. When no one is pulling your time, no one is editing your decisions, something surprising happens. You begin to hear yourself again. It's like pouring water into a glass and leaving it untouched. At first, you see nothing, but when the ripples settle, suddenly the reflection appears. You. Alone doesn't mean absence. Alone means clarity. I remember setting one plate on the table after my divorce. At first, it felt hollow, but night by night, the stillness stretched wider than the walls. I realized that quiet wasn't a void, it was a horizon. Here's the part we rarely admit. Crowd doesn't cure emptiness, it often hides it. Solitude doesn't create a hole, it reveals what's been missing, your own voice. And look at someone the whole world knows, Keanu Reeves. A man who has chosen long seasons of solitude, who walks city streets alone, reads in parks, lives quietly, and yet radiates peace, depth, and kindness. Proof that solitude doesn't steal joy. It can deepen it. Don't confuse noise with life. Don't confuse company with completion. Sometimes the most crowded moments are the most hollow. And sometimes a quiet morning alone is the most abundant. So let me ask you, when the world stops demanding, what do you discover still matters? 2. Peace without negotiations. Living with people often means constant bargaining. Which show to watch? Where to spend the weekend? Even the tone of your words becomes a calculation. Will this upset them? Should I stay quiet? Should I give in? Living alone removes the game. Peace is no longer negotiated, it simply exists. You walk into your own space, and the air feels lighter because no one is tallying points. No one is silently keeping score. Marcus Aurelius said that it's not the thing itself that disturbs you, but the judgment you attach to it. Think about that. The stress isn't the argument. It's the endless loop of managing someone else's reactions. When you remove that, life shrinks back to scale. I once realized how much of my day was built on concessions, laughing at jokes I didn't find funny, eating at places I didn't enjoy, nodding when I wanted to disagree. It was exhausting, not because of them, but because I kept betraying myself. And the funny part? You'll never again have a 2-hour debate about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. The remote finally retires in peace. Peace is not passive. It's active clarity, the ability to use your energy on what actually matters. When peace stops being a negotiation, your day stops being a battlefield. And later, when we reach part 9, I'll share something very simple yet deeply meaningful. Apply it, and you will never feel lonely inside your home again. Stay with me. 3. Find your voice again. When you live with others long enough, you start to forget the sound of your own voice. Not the one people hear, but the one that whispers what you really want. What do you eat when no one is watching? What music do you play when no one else has a say? Living alone hands those questions back to you. I once stopped answering messages after 9 at night. For years, I thought I owed the world constant replies. But nothing collapsed. The world didn't even notice. My nervous system did. It said, "Thank you." The smallest preferences are never small. A quiet Sunday with your own playlist, cooking what you actually crave, declining an invitation without guilt. These are not details. They are foundations. Every time you choose what truly fits you, you are not just living, you are finally coming home to yourself. If any part of this made you pause, hit like. It helps this message reach someone who might still be afraid to listen to their own voice. 4. Peace without drama. You can love people and still love quiet more. You can care for them and still need distance to breathe. Living alone isn't about rejecting others, it's about removing the theater. The endless acts of explaining, apologizing, defending. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And sometimes courage is not fighting wars outside, but setting a curfew for your own energy. To say, "I've given enough today, now I choose rest." I remember the first evening sat in my living room with one lamp on, one book open, and the city humming faintly outside. No one interrupting, no one asking, no one explaining. That night I realized peace doesn't shout. It waits quietly, ready to be noticed. And yes, there's humor in it too. The remote finally rests without conflict. No debates about which show deserves a screen. Even silence becomes entertainment when it belongs to you. Drama drains, peace restores. And when peace is no longer a rare visitor but a resident in your home, you begin to see how much noise you once mistook for life. Think about it. What does peace look like for you between 7 and 9 in the evening when no one else is around to shape it? 5. Grow without permission. Most people delay their growth because they wait for permission. Approval from a partner, agreement from family, a green light from friends. But living alone breaks the waiting room. No more committee votes on your choices. If you want to learn, you learn. If you want to move, you move. My mentor Kai was also a man who lived alone. Yet every time I looked at him, he carried wisdom and ease, as if solitude had polished him instead of drained him. Later, I discovered something that surprised me even more. Even in his older years, he applied to study psychology at a university. He wanted to keep learning, keep expanding. That's when it struck me. Growth never retires. It waits for whoever has the courage to keep choosing it. Your path belongs to you. No one else has to clap for it, sign off on it, or understand it. And when you finally stop asking for validation, you find that momentum was never locked. It was yours to release. Growth doesn't arrive with permission slips. It arrives with a decision, and solitude is the cleanest ground to make it on. Growth isn't loud. It's the quiet choice you repeat until it becomes your new life. Stay with me, because later in this journey, there's something deeply meaningful I want to share with you. 6. The right support, not obligations. When you live alone, your circle shrinks, and that's the beauty. People who stay because they want to, not because they're tied by duty or forced by circumstance. I used to juggle endless group chats, most of them filled with noise. After moving into my own space, many of those threads went quiet. What remained were the friends who checked in not out of habit, but out of care. And that's when I understood. Quality replaces quantity once you choose yourself. And sometimes solitude filters more than people. It filters the parts of yourself that once depended on noise. You stop performing, you start existing. There's humor in it too, less fake laughter at reunions, more genuine coffee with someone who actually listens. The support that matters isn't obligatory, it's chosen. And every chosen bond adds strength instead of draining it. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who are likely to improve you." That's the test. When you walk away lighter, clearer, or inspired, that's not just friendship, it's alignment. If they don't honor your boundaries, they don't honor you. Real support feels light. It lifts you, and when you look around and see only those who truly want to be in your life, you realize you're not standing alone, you're standing taller. Comment below if you've ever had to let go of people to find your real peace. Your story might be the strength someone else needs tonight. 7. Money without arguments. I've seen it with my close friend Jonas and his wife. They love each other deeply, but like many couples, every month still brings those familiar back and forths. Bills, savings, spending. Who gave up what? Even small things, like buying a pair of shoes or choosing a dinner out, could spark little debates. Money wasn't just numbers between them. It often became a quiet tension in the room. But when you live alone, that tension disappears. Every dollar flows in the direction you choose. No detours, no silent resentments. And here's the truth. Financial freedom is not just about how much you earn. Most people chase wealth to buy freedom, but they forget. Freedom begins when you stop paying for approval. Approval is the most expensive subscription you'll ever pay for. Cancel it. It's about how much you align your money with your values. Living alone makes that alignment sharp and simple. Think of it this way. Your money becomes a river with only one channel. No branching streams, no competing banks, just one clear current, carrying your future exactly where you decide it should go. So let me ask you, how much have you already saved compared to people your age who are still stuck in a relationship that no longer brings them joy? 8. Time on your terms. Time is the most expensive currency, and most people spend it negotiating with others. Family schedules, social obligations, even holidays become tug-of-war games. But living alone returns the clock to its rightful owner, you. It's like holding a violin that no one else is allowed to touch. When you live alone, you decide the tempo, the pauses, the crescendos. No one rushes your melody. No one drags your rhythm. And yes, some days that melody is just you eating cereal at noon and calling it lunch. But that's freedom too. And in that private concert, you discover that freedom is not measured in hours. It's measured in how much of the song belongs to you. Freedom isn't a schedule, it's authority over your minutes. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And he was right. Time does not slip because of years, it slips because of distractions. Living alone hands back those hours. A Sunday can truly be yours. A holiday can become a ritual that fits you, not a performance for others. You discover that freedom is not in owning more, but in owning your minutes. Time on your terms is not selfish. It is sacred. And when you protect it, you realize your life finally moves at the speed of your soul. Don't leave just yet. Later in this journey, I'll share something personal, something that might quietly change the way you feel at home with yourself. 9. Your space, your sanctuary. A house is never just a building. It's an echo of the soul living inside it. Most people treat their home like a warehouse, filled with gifts they don't like, clothes they don't wear, and reminders of obligations that weigh them down. But solitude gives you a chance to curate differently. And think of Tony Stark, Iron Man, billionaire, genius, but also a man who often worked alone inside his sanctuary-like home. His lab, his view over the ocean, his silence, they weren't just background. They were the soil where his creativity and strength grew. His space was more than walls. It was a reflection of his inner world. And me? I went a little wild. I bought massive Lego sets and spread them all over the house, something I had dreamed of since I was a teenager. Finally, I had the freedom to build without worrying about the mess or the judgment. And the truth is, it was deeply satisfying. For once, I could just be the kid inside me, and no one could stop it. Before we move on, I want to leave you with something personal. Not philosophy, but a quiet ritual I still keep. It is a quiet ritual I still keep. One small act that connects your outer space to your higher self. Make your space a witness of who you're becoming. Find one object in your home that quietly represents your higher self, the man you're becoming, not the man you used to be. It could be your old wristwatch that reminds you of patience, a pen that helped you rebuild your business, or a single stone you picked up on a day you decided to start over. Clean it, place it somewhere visible, and every morning before the noise begins, pause for just a second. Look at that object and remind yourself, this is who I choose to be today. Disciplined, calm, and free. You don't need to meditate for hours. You just need one anchor to reconnect you to the man you are becoming. Because your higher self doesn't shout. He waits quietly for you to remember him. If you try this tonight, tell me in the comments what object you chose. And if it brings you even a little calm, share this video with someone who needs that same peace. 10 boundaries that protect your energy. When you're surrounded by others, boundaries blur. You agree to dinners you don't want, favors that drain you, conversations that steal hours. Alone, you learn the power of a clean no. Steve Jobs once said that people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to 100 other good ideas. His success wasn't built on doing everything. It was built on refusing almost everything so he could give his full energy to what mattered most. Seneca once said, if a thing is not good, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Boundaries are not barriers. They are the frame that keeps the picture of your life intact. The truth is, the moment you start saying no more often, life starts saying yes back to you. Here's something you can try this week. Choose one simple situation where you usually say yes out of habit, like answering a late-night message or agreeing to a favor you don't want. This time, pause and kindly say not tonight or I can't right now. Notice how your body feels after. That small act will show you that boundaries are not walls, they are windows that let the right air in. Say less, mean more. Fewer doors open, but the right ones stay. 11. Emotional growth alone. When you live alone, emotions stop being something you outsource. There's no partner to absorb your frustration, no one to carry your sadness for you, no easy distraction to hide in. At first, it feels heavy because every feeling knocks directly at your door. But slowly you realize it's a gift. When something weighed on me, I often walked alone into the forest. There's a small stream I've returned to countless times. Before heading home, I would step into its cold water, letting it run over me. In that moment, it felt as if my negative emotions were being rinsed away. By the time I climbed back out, my mind was clear, like looking into the bottom of a still, transparent lake. Living alone teaches you to process instead of project. You stop blaming, you stop pushing pain onto others. Instead, you build resilience brick by brick. And one day you notice that storms still come, but they pass faster and they leave you stronger. Emotional growth in solitude is not about isolation. It's about integration, becoming whole within yourself. And once you taste that wholeness, you'll never trade it again. Pain didn't vanish. It finally had a place to pass through. 12. The power of silence. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it with TV, music, chatter, anything that keeps them from hearing their own mind. But when you live alone, silence becomes a teacher. A former colleague once told me, "At night when the house goes quiet, I sit with no screens, no music, only silence. That's when ideas come, problems untangle, and even my best business solutions appear. People praise my creativity, but really, it's silence that gives it space." His words reminded me, what feels impossible in noise often dissolves in quiet. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Silence is not emptiness, it's a return to the source. Silence doesn't fix life. It lets you see where to place your hands. Here's a reflection for you. Tonight, turn off every screen for just 15 minutes. Sit with the quiet. Notice the thoughts that rise, the emotions that try to escape. Don't fight them. Just observe. You may discover that what you were seeking outside has been whispering inside all along. Silence is not a void. It's the canvas where your true self begins to paint. 13. You build your own rhythm. When you share a life with someone, your rhythm often becomes a duet. But living alone turns it back into a solo. And that's where freedom hides. You wake up when your body is ready, not when someone else's alarm goes off. You cook when you're hungry, not when it's expected. You move through your day like water, fluid, responsive, unforced. There's something sacred about that, because rhythm isn't just about time. It's about alignment. You begin to align with your natural energy, your creative flow, your real desires. One of my clients once realized this after her breakup. She told me, "I used to eat breakfast standing up, checking my phone, rushing to please everyone. Now I sit by the window and actually taste my coffee." That's the beauty of rhythm. When it's yours, even the smallest acts feel like art. Look at J.K. Rowling. She wrote her first pages of Harry Potter as a single mother, sitting alone in a small cafe, no schedule, no applause, no one telling her what made sense, just her rhythm, her pen, her quiet persistence. That solitude didn't limit her, it gave her tempo, and that tempo built a world millions now live in. When rhythm is yours, consistency becomes effortless. That's how discipline is born, not from pressure, but from rhythm. When your actions align with your pulse, consistency stops being the effort and starts being peace, because once your rhythm is yours again, no relationship feels worth losing it for. 14. You stop waiting for permission. When you live alone, no one gives you permission anymore, and that's when life finally begins. You stop waiting for someone to say it's the right time, the right move, the right version of you. You simply begin. That first morning alone feels strange. You make coffee, the cup feels too light. But that's how freedom introduces itself, quietly, without applause. I've seen it happen countless times. A friend of mine went through a quiet breakup, moved into a tiny studio, and started handcrafting candles just to pass the time. Within a year, that side hobby turned into a full business. Not because she had investors, but because she finally had silence to focus and space to trust herself. Most people don't realize how many of their dreams are trapped in someone else's approval. But solitude breaks that invisible chain. It reminds you that your life is not a committee decision. I remember once talking to Kai and Burke in the workshop. He looked at me and said, "Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's knowing you can." That line hit me harder than any success I've had, because that's what living alone truly teaches. You become the author again. Solitude is not escape, it's confrontation. The moment you stop running from the mirror and start meeting the man in it, you look in the mirror, and for once, you don't ask for permission, you give it. And the irony? Once you stop waiting for permission, people start respecting you more. Not because you shouted louder, but because you finally moved in silence. If you've felt a quiet strength somewhere in these words, subscribe and stay close. Every week, we go deeper into what it means to live free, from noise, from doubt, from the need to be understood. So maybe living alone isn't about isolation at all. Maybe it's about finally returning home, not to a place, but to yourself. It's about realizing that solitude isn't the absence of love. It's the space where love for yourself finally has room to grow. It's the quiet where peace is reborn, where clarity whispers, where strength rebuilds itself one calm evening at a time. Remember this, you don't need to prove your worth by who stands beside you. You prove it by how you stand when no one else does. Because living alone isn't about being untouched. It's about being undisturbed. It's about being so full of your own light that even silence feels like company. And when that day comes, you'll realize you never needed someone to complete you, only the courage to meet yourself. Rest easy. You're already complete. The rest is the art of remembering.